for being here, man.
Thank you.
I know.
Appreciate
My
you.
pleasure.
Been a long time coming, right?
Ready?
Yep. Welcome back to Fortitude, folks. The guy running the board, Brenton Payne. How are you, Brenton?
I'm gonna play something else.
Stick with us. Stick with me, babe.
Too many sounds going on.
J.W. Wilson here. You're a co-host. Thanks for joining us on Fortitude. Brought to you by Cap Tex Bank.
I was just gonna thank them, Mike Thomas and the gang,
Throw it
local
out there,
banks.
baby.
Only 1 or 2 here. They're good. Right down the street from our guest's location that he's going to talk about.
We're a local show so far. We bank local. Cap Tex. We love you guys. Thank you.
Yes.
So getting to this gentleman sitting between us, we have a legend in the house. One Dat Nguyen. Thank you, Dat, for being here.
Yes, thank you very
for
much.
having me, guys.
I can't find the applause button fast enough, but I will in the post-production.
Give him one job, Dat. One job. Yep. It's okay.
And I can't get the... Yeah, there we go. Super applause.
We've moved on. Okay.
Yes.
So, Dat, let's get into your background because a lot of people are interested to hear what you have to say on certain subjects. You've done quite a bit in your life. You were born in a refugee camp in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. Can you give us briefly the story there?
Yeah, so obviously that was during the war, the Vietnam War. My family left Vietnam to come to America. And, it's funny because Dad don't say much about the experience. He was fortunate to own a little radio and to listen to the news of what's going on during the war. When the North invaded the South, the Viet Cong was taken over, he planned it where, hey, when they come in, we're going to meet this boat or the Marine shipman is going to help us take our family out to meet the American ships out in the sea. So I guess April 25th, 1975, that midnight, got the phone. Got the radio and got the whole family together. My mom was 6 months pregnant with myself.
Wow.
5 siblings. So they took his whole family at 30 years old and left his mainland to get on a boat to depart from his country.
How many other families? I mean, was it one of those things where he's planning with some other guys,
Absolutely.
like we're going to all do this?
Yes, sir, it was. And we had all immediate family, and everybody had a job. He delegated certain jobs to certain people.
Yeah.
And there was almost about 50 people on the boat. And so we went out, and what's crazy was that the Viet Cong got so close because we lived in a small town called Binh Da. Vung Tau, south of Vung Tau, Binh Da, which is south of Saigon. Mm-hmm. And so we left, and the Viet Cong got in so close that they were shooting at my dad as they depart.
No kidding.
And when they did that, the American ship had to back out, and they were technically couldn't connect. So we were stuck out there for about 7 or 10 days.
Wow.
And end up in Thailand about 7-10 days later. And my mom was pregnant with myself earlier, like I mentioned. And at times she always said that she didn't think she could carry the pregnancy through, and she felt like she was going to get a miscarriage. But fortunately, we got to Thailand and connected with the Thailandese, did the paperwork, got on land, and then went to Camp Pennington in San Diego. And then from there, we flew to Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, at a refugee camp, and that's where I was born. And it's interesting. I was inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame a few years back, and Lovie Smith was a recipient as well. And I went to the event and looking forward to seeing Coach, because he coached me at my Senior Bowl when I was at Texas A&M, and his wife was with him.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I saw Coach from a distance. I'm walking toward Coach, about to say hi to him. His wife comes out of nowhere, came straight to me. She was crying, tears were falling. She goes, I know you don't know me, but I need to tell you a story. Can you please sit down? I said, yes, ma'am. I sit down. I was like, dude, what did I do? You know what I mean? It was like, and she's like, well, let me tell you the story. My dad just passed this past year. You were a senior at Texas A&M. You played in the Sugar Bowl. I went to Ohio State. You playing against Ohio State. I was going to the game. My dad wanted to follow me to the game. So during the game, we're watching the game, and he would look over, and he goes, he's one of us. He's one of us. And she would look at him. She goes, Dad, what are you talking about? Who's one of us?
Yeah.
He goes, Dad was born at the refugee camp. Her dad was a supervisor.
Oh, my gosh.
At the refugee camp from Chicago. And on the weekends, he would go home, and he would say, they're going to take him. I got to get back. They're going to take him. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to take him. And he keeps telling them the story about. So that was her story. So it was kind of cool.
That's incredible.
That's super cool.
So,
Who was he rooting for then to win in that game?
Who, she was?
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
she
they
was
totally
Ohio
split
State.
it.
Oh, those Buckeyes. You can't.
That's a great story.
So you're born in Fort Chaffee. How did you end up in Rockport?
Okay, so in Fort Chaffee, after we were there, we got settled a little bit. I think 6 weeks or so, 6 weeks in, they started distributing people all around the country. So some of our family members went to California, back to California. Others went to Pennsylvania, and some went to South Texas, Gulf Coast, down in Mississippi, and we went to Kalamazoo, Michigan. And a Catholic church took us in and gave my dad a job, gave us a 1970 Ford LTD, if you guys remember that car.
Yes.
So we were there for 6 months, and everybody, obviously, everything was letters, no phones back then. My dad connected again with my relative down south, I think it was Gulf Coast, Mississippi, and he decided during Michigan and in Kalamazoo, the weather is not good for Asian people. So, when I got recruited by Michigan, I went up there for my visit, and it was a great visit. And I remember coming back, and I texted my dad. I was like, hey, we were in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I went to Ann Arbor last weekend. People were great. Why didn't we stay in Michigan? He goes, son, or Southeast Asian people, we don't like that cold weather. So my dad and my brother, who was 13 at that time when we came over from Vietnam, 6 months in Kalamazoo, Michigan, not knowing any English as a second language. So I don't know how they navigated themselves.
Yeah.
In a Ford LTD, all 8 of us in the car. And back then, obviously, no seat belts, no car seats, So we all the way back down to Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Mississippi, because we did the fishing industry in Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we end up. And then eventually we moved to Rockport, which my mom's family was settled in Rockport. And I remember I told you the story that we were in a small village south of Saigon called Binh Da.
Mm-hmm.
Translation of Binh Da is Port of Rock.
Oh, nice.
We settled in Rockport for the last 48 years.
Yeah.
Or 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Dad, you're growing up in Rockport as a kid. You're obviously football finds you in high school. What's the family doing during this time in the restaurant business?
Yeah, my mom was really at first it was the shrimping industry of the shrimping business. We were in government housing when I first got there. We all first got there, and what happens is that obviously it's almost like Vietnamese and Spanish people are very similar, work ethic, relationships, and so everything was mikasa mukasa. I was talking about, right? It's my house, your house, and it's my. So they got together, 2-3 families together, got a little shrimp boat, and they did the savings and spread the profits, and then eventually had multiple shrimp boats. And then my dad decided, hey, in Vietnam, I did the marine supply, and I was like, I want to sell my shrimp boat to buy this building to supply all the marine supplies to all the shrimpers or the fishermen in the area. And so we did that, and then there was a little room, I don't know, maybe 20 by 20, maybe 400 square foot, if that. And Mom would go with my dad at 4 o'clock in the morning. My brother would go out shrimping. My dad would open the marine supply just in case anybody needs a last-minute thing for their catch of the day. So Mom would make coffee. And then by lunch, a little bit after lunch, Mom would make lunch. And she's like, dude, why would I keep making this stuff and don't get no money from it? So she decided to open that restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so in 93, she decided to open the restaurant, which is still running now down in South Texas, called Who Dat.
Who Dat, yes.
So my family owns a Who Dat restaurant in Rockport, Corpus Christi, and Gregory, Portland, that little South Texas area. And
so this is in your blood. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So my brother's name is, my next brother is Hung, Hung. Mom took his first 2 letters of his name and took my name. So made a Who Dat Vietnamese restaurant.
Still going strong.
Yeah. So my sister.
What about the older brother though? He gets left out?
He's a shrimp. He was a shrimper, but he's now he owns yogurt shops down in Corpus Christi. But cool. He was the one. He was 18 years old. Guess what? 6 years in. He was 13. We came over at 18 years old. We graduated from high school. When he got out of high school, his gift was a shrimp bowl. So we had a shrimp bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
not
he
named
did that
after a restaurant. Yeah. I was trying to think about the split up of kid to parents on that in that LTD of 8 people in there. Like you go 3 in the front and 5 in the back. I don't really know how.
We were down in the bottom of the feet by the shoes
that's
because
the nap
they're so
area.
small. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, take your nap down there.
All right, Dad. So you're in high school in Rockport. You're obviously a good high school player. You start getting recruited by schools like Michigan, you mentioned, UCLA, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Texas A&M obviously piqued your interest the most. So you signed with Texas A&M. You're off to college. Everybody, this is one thing I love about you, just reading about you over the years, is everybody always told you, I'm guessing throughout your career, that you're too small. You're too small. You were 5'11", 238 at A&M. Obviously, let's talk about A&M a little bit. You're part of this thing called the Wrecking Crew, which was for a lot of Aggies, which we all have friends are Aggies, is a very, very special thing.
Yeah, it is a special place. And you know what's crazy? I always think back about my career, right? So we didn't have Instagram. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Snapchat. Any of these social media outlet, or we didn't have many, if even one, recruiting outlet during that time in 1994. Going back to my recruiting process, it's, I went to A&M. I signed with A&M, and when I got to A&M, I didn't realize how many people signed. You know what I mean? I got there. I said, hey, introduce everybody. There was 28 of us. And I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys I just met are linebackers. And I was like, did I sign as a linebacker or did I sign as a punter? I didn't know, So I was like, doing the math. I was like, okay, this famous Wrecking Crew defense, right? 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and there's 5 of us that signed. One of us not going to play. So God and behold, I was the one that had a red shirt. I was the one that really had a lot of doubts. And if the transfer portal is that easy now, I would have been out of A&M. You
Really?
know what I mean? Because it was I knew I was going to play. The guy I was going to be back up was going to be in an All-American high school play. He's going to start the next 3 years. So I at that time was the low of low. I think that whole year, and it was the best thing for me, and it made me even stronger as I grew and I matured. But at 17 years old, man, when you're getting recruited by all these universities and telling you everything you wanted to hear, and then you show up to campus like, dude,
we got more people than we do spots.
Yeah, and so I went back to high school, and I talked to my high school coach, who was a baseball player for A&M. He played for the Colt 45, which became the Houston Astros. He was there for like 20 plus years with the organization. And when we talked, he was really a mentor for me. And he said, Dad, athletics going to end one day, son. Go back and get the education. So I went back, reorganized my priorities, and I made academically getting a degree, number 1, and then school was 2. And, I tell people all the time, I was like, man, when I made that decision, 6 o'clock, I was at the weight room, go to class at 8. I came back at lunch, I was back in the weight room. Came back at 4 with the team in the weight room for a whole year. I did 3 times a day, 3 days for the whole year. And I said, I just want an opportunity. I'm Asian. I'm small. I'm not fast.
But you can lift some weights.
I just wanted an opportunity.
Yeah.
Because it was weights, it was speed, agility, whatever I needed to work on. And during that time, I learned about the game because I understood, hey, this is a situation stuff. This is down and distance. All this stuff, I was watching film and understanding a little bit more besides just the physicality of the game, which is obviously you need. So I did that, and I said, hey, I'll just work myself all the way to be a backup to that high school All-American, the parade All-American, the number 1 recruit in the state of Texas. He was assigning group with us as a linebacker.
Who was it?
Trent Driver, and out of Cleveland, Texas. Great guy. And so I worked all year to be his backup. So went through spring ball, everything. It's like, oh man, so for 2 more years or maybe 3 years, he'll start. My senior year, I'm gonna have a chance to start. So that was my goal.
Yeah.
Hey, just be a contributor on special teams, and then one day, maybe your senior year, you'll start. And then, so we got all the way. We went through for fall camp, and then that Wednesday leading up to the opening kickoff of the '95 season the following year. I was a redshirt freshman, and that Wednesday, Coach Slocum goes, hey, guys, get on the line. We're going to run sprints. So we ran sprints back, forth. All of a sudden, he steps in a sprinkler head. He can't play.
Oh, seriously?
Guess who had to start? That's how my career started.
That's how it left off. If you were Dat, so what would you? I was going to ask you the question. You kind of answered it. What would you think got you to where you were in high school to the player? Was this all this hard? That's your secret sauce is the hard work you put into it.
High school, I don't think I was more lazy than high school. I like basketball. I think I was more athletic, just because that's how I made it. And like I told you guys earlier, there was no media outlet.
That athleticism came from all that traveling in your mom's womb over here.
Yeah, I know. And I had I was a deckhand on the shrimp boat, so that's my quick hands on and off when I was a lineman, right? No, but what's funny answering your question is that I wasn't really athletic. I was athletic in high school, but we didn't have recruiting. So December 1st, first day a head coach can be at your house in 1994, 8 o'clock in the morning, get a knock on the door. I opened the door, and I was like, whoa, Gary Moeller, the head coach from University of Michigan, wants to talk to mom and dad about, hey, coming up to visit Michigan. And I was like, whoa, I can't translate.
Yeah.
Mom and dad doesn't speak any English. I had to call my cousin, who was really the pioneer of football down in South Texas. He's the first one that played, and he's really opened the door for all of us to play. So he comes over, and he's starstruck. He's like, oh, man, this guy see him every Saturday on TV, and he's here 3,000 miles away. So we visited, and then they said, mom and dad's like, I just put your sister through school. I know how expensive it is. Nobody's going to pay you to go to school in college, especially college, and to play football. He's like,
imagine that.
Yeah.
Speaking of pay, we got to real quick shout out to CapTex Bank. Not that they pay for players to go to college, but always probably help on the banking side of things, local bank. And just thanks to Mike Thomas again for that.
Thank you, Mike. And Brenton, just so you know, it worked out really well for him at A&M. He had 51 career starts, 517 career tackles, which is an A&M record, the record. He's the only Aggie to ever lead the team 4 consecutive years, part of the wrecking crew we mentioned. He's generally, this is the cool part, and that you can confirm this or deny it, but you're generally considered the best defensive player in A&M history.
No,
that a lot of people say this, Dat, and I think you probably know you're in the discussion. So
I want you to take me down there and show me that sprinkler head that guy fell on.
Not only that, Brenton, in 1998, he was an All-American, the Chuck Bednarik Award, the best defensive player, won the Lombardi, best college lineman, the Jack Lambert Award, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Runner-up for the Butkus. You lost by one. Who did you lose to?
Chris Claiborne.
Yeah. So TCU played. I played
USC,
TCU in my junior year against USC and Chris Claiborne. Yep.
He was big.
That was the year. So you're in the Hall of Fame at A&M, college at Cotton Bowl Hall of Fame, all-time Big 12 team, Texas Sports Hall of Fame. You mentioned. These are all from his A&M days, and he truly was one of the legends of all time. Before we move on to the next round, what was your favorite game you ever played at A&M?
I think it has to be. So sad to say that with the lone championship here the last 20-plus years of A&M football. Well, the Big 12 championship, we went to play Kansas State, and we were the underdog. We just lost to University of Texas in the last minute. We already clinched the South, Big 12 South, and Kansas State was the number 2 team in the country during that time. And we go play up there at the St. Louis, what's that, the
Bush?
The TCA Dome.
Oh,
or
yeah.
The RCA or whatever, TCA, whatever that is.
This is football, not baseball, Brent.
But we went up there, and we were severely, it was lopsided. They had about 60,000 people, and we had 5,000 people that might have traveled because they were number 2, and we just lost to Texas. So nobody really gave us a chance. We were the underdog, and we were playing the game. The game was going back and forth, and then all of a sudden they took the lead, and they were up by 20-something points at one time. And then all of a sudden the announcer went on the microphone and said, the number 1 team, UCLA, played Miami because that hurricane came into Miami right before that season started, and they had to postpone that game to the end of the season. So they just got on the microphone and announced that UCLA has just lost to the University of Michigan, to University of Miami. So they went bananas because they're going to Tortillas Fiesta Bowl. They're going to be the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
So they're throwing everything on the field, and it was just erupted, right? So we're like, oh shoot, now it's over for us, right? So we're playing, and then we're down by 15 points, and it was like 4 minutes and 16 seconds left in the game, and we're down by 2 scores. And I remember R.C. Slocum came over to the defense, and he put his hand on our shoulders, and he talked to us. He goes, guys, just make one play. Just make one play. And I looked up that clock, and I was like, 4-16, down by 15.
Here's the doubter again.
And I was like, oh, man, it's kind of hard to get this one because they're the number one team now, right? Your brains, you're thinking that. So all of a sudden, we get the ball. We go in the next series. We forced the fumble, got the ball back. We came down, scored. And
then the defense scores?
Offense scored.
Okay.
And then we kicked the field goal down by 8. And then next series, we picked the ball off on Michael Bishop. He threw an in route. We picked it off. And then we drove down. We scored and convert the 2-point conversion.
No kidding.
Now it's tied. Overtime. So we're going to overtime, back and forth. And then what's crazy, in the third overtime, you had to go for 2. And I think we were at the kick field goal. And then we went down and really Sir Parker ran a slant. And Brandon Stewart hit him. And we won the
Stephenville
game.
product, Brandon Stewart.
Yep. And that might be the most exciting game of my career because it was so high, so low, and then so high. Then it was unbelievable. And I don't know. I think it's
awesome hearing you
pretty
describe
cool.
it. So
Yeah.
What is Coach Slocum, R.C. Slocum? What does he mean to you?
Well, he's obviously gonna be one of the biggest part of my life, and he just I got an omission out of cancer, just surpassed cancer, so he's done with cancer, which is great.
That's great.
12 sessions or 12 treatment that he just went through, so it was tough. But he's unbelievable. The guy, he's just one of those guys that always is there for you, and if you needed somebody to talk to, he's there to talk to, and I think he helped me a lot growing as a young man.
Right.
Because you were a kid, man. I was a kid, 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. And then what's stuck to me, though, the first day we got to Texas A&M, when I saw those other 4 linebackers, we sat down in an auditorium, which is wasn't that big. It was a Kane Hall, which is a history site, I guess, for the dormitory for all student athletes. And we sat in the auditorium. He says, look to your left and look to your right. 3 years from now, one of those guys not going to be here. Reality kicked in, you know, and out of those 28 guys or 26 guys that we signed that year, I don't think there's only like 10 of us that were there to win the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so.
awesome. Are you like all Aggies we know? Is there a disdain for the university in Austin? Are you a fan or?
I don't have nothing against them. I think I respect a lot of them. Like, there's a lot of people like Rick Williams, who I had to play 4 years of my career against. One of the better, he's one of the best running backs I played in.
Yeah.
If not, I think Curtis Martin is number 1 in my career. Ricky's not far from that. He's at least 2 or 3, but I think everybody, even Mac Brown was a coach during that time when we were there. He's still, he's the first one to send me a letter to congratulate me for being an All-American and winning an award. So it's I don't have anything against them. It's just that it's just fun, competitive. But I wish that game will come back. The bragging rights of those 2 teams. Hopefully, we get a chance to play them again, or I guess we will here in a few years. But it's for so many years. That's all it's about.
Yeah.
It was just bragging rights, and most of all, it's just fun for a family and friends get together for the Thanksgiving weekend, and to be able to sit there and just, my team's gonna win or your team's whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that's, you lose that. And talking about Texas, we played Texas my last year. And I said earlier that we lost that game, right? We lost that close game. Major Applewhite was a quarterback. He was a redshirt freshman quarterback. He drove them down, and we had a chance to seal the game or to end the game, but it was a pick. He ran in route, and then we were about to pick it off, and somebody tipped the ball, and the ball never. And then the next play, he hit a receiver that ran all the way down and kicked the field goal and beat us. But I left that game with my mom because it was Thanksgiving, and during that time, Coach said, hey, if your parents are here, you can leave with them, and I'll see you back on Monday or Sunday night study hall. So that was the first time that I experienced anything crazy as I did leaving the stadium. So I'll go out, and they have this parking garage. And these parking garages have all these, obviously, they're drunk and, and they're loaded from the game.
Football fans? No.
That's Dat Nguyen. So they start chunking bottles at me.
Seriously?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy stuff. Like, man.
And your mom?
My mom was with me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, it was brutal. But
Since
that's part of it.
You played Ricky, you said 4 years. Did you guys have an in-game rivalry thing? Like, would you tackle him or he'd run around? Would you guys have a thing because you guys know each other so well on the field?
Well, we really knew each other on the field, but it's just more respect. And I think as we went to our senior year and, all the awards after the season, I got to know him. I know his mom, Sandy, got to know his twin sisters. Mm-hmm. So we all went all the same places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Maxwell. We went to, obviously, Orlando when we had that ESPN deal. So we spent a lot of time together. But it's, I think it's more of just talking about life. Like,
Was he hard to tackle?
Oh, he's
like a train.
He's a young Earl Campbell, if you really put him in the category of those big thighs, and he's faster than he's fast.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize how fast that guy is.
But you can feel it when you try to.
Oh yeah, he bring the thumbs. Like, I told people that when I used to play for the Cowboys, and there was a guy named Roy Williams, the other Williams.
Yeah.
When he comes and hits somebody, you can feel the vibration, and you're like, oh, you can hear the other guys, right? It's just like Ricky, man. When Ricky, I had a stinger against Ricky, I think the sophomore year. And I bet you, I got a stinger. I can feel my whole arm, and I played, the whole series. And I bet you that might have been the hardest hit. And I bet you he just popped up and he got a big old smile, Mm-hmm. But that's how he is.
Yeah.
Before we move on to your Cowboys, which you just alluded to, can we get an Aggie whoop out of you? Is that something we can do?
Whoop? What? Gig'em Aggies?
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a thumb involved somewhere? Yeah, something like that.
That's a double gig'em.
Nice. All right. So you finished up your A&M career, Dat. You're a third-round pick of the Cowboys. Then it gets really you go through the same stuff. Everybody says, oh, he's too small to play at the Cowboys. You played from 99 to 05 for a guy named Bill Parcells.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, interesting, phenomenal, legendary coach. 01, 03, 04, you led the Cowboys in tackles, which is it shows incredible what the work ethic you put into it. You got what you were seeking. Started 65 games, 516 tackles, 6 sacks, 7 INTs with the Cowboys. You retired in 2006 because of injury troubles, but you're ranked 10th all time in Cowboys history in tackles. I mean, it goes on and on. Let's talk Cowboys for a second, if we can. There's a lot to cover there, and we only have a limited amount of time. My partner's going to probably start playing the exit music here.
No, I like that. He's cool. Okay, cool. I can chill with him.
I got a lot of stories with the Cowboys. The first day I got to the Cowboys, we got drafted, right? So you get drafted, and during that time, when you get drafted, the following week is mini camp, right?
Yeah.
It's like rookie mini camp. So really, with Chan Gailey, they brought everybody in. So all the veterans were there too. So I walk in the first day, and I see Darren Woodson. Darren Woodson, or we call him Woody. He looks over. He goes, "Hey, Dad, congratulations. Love the way you play the game of football. But just remember, you'll be a former player longer than you be a player." Didn't resonate then, and I started thinking about it. I was like, oh, man, like the offseason, I remember I thought, it's like, what was Woody trying to tell me? Because I was on cloud nine. You just drafted. You play high school ball in Texas. You play college ball in Texas now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? You play for the Cowboys now, and that's America's team. You came from America, play America's sport. Now you play for the America's team, right? How crazy is all this stuff? So Woody tells me that, and then we go through practice, and we go through meetings, and then we go through practice. And the first day of practice, they go out there, and it's from A&M. Our playbook is about an inch thick or so at A&M.
Yeah.
The Cowboys is about 3 or 4, just because I have every situation, every down distance, everything you can think of, it's in there. And obviously football is a 24-hour deal. It's not, hey, you don't go to class, don't worry about school. You know what I mean? Just everything football. So halfway through 7-on-7, this drill that we do, 7-on-7, quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, tight ends versus linebackers, safeties, or defensive back. So halfway through the drill, Dave Campbell, who was our defensive coordinator, goes, "Hey, Dad, get in there." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Hey, I'm a rookie." I was like, "No." And I was like, "Dude, I played 50-plus games at A&M. I know what I'm doing." So I go in, and I get the signals from coach. My back's turned from the offense. And then all of a sudden, we break the huddle, and I look over. It was Troy Aikman.
Oh.
I look behind him. It was Emmitt Smith.
Holy cow.
I look to my right, it's Michael Irvin. They snapped the ball. I didn't even move.
Oh, my God.
I was starstruck, man.
Yeah.
Like this guy I watch on Sundays after our games on Saturdays for so long. And it was pretty cool. And
how long does it take to get over that, though?
Oh, man, I better get over it quick. That was it.
Couple plays.
One play. That was it. No, next play you had to go on because you couldn't look back, right? So, But that was my first experience with those guys, and it was pretty cool. But Parcells, go back to Coach Parcells. You mentioned him. I learned more football in 4 years with Coach Parcells than I did 20 years prior to that. And he just made the game so interesting. Situational football. We go play the Giants. You guys are the Cowboy fans out there. It was our first year that he was there against the New York Giants. He's going back to New York where he won 2 Super Bowl. You know, he's excited. He's pumped, right? So we do this situation in training camp. We call it 62 Max Cafe XQ, which is 3x1 if you guys play football. And then the backside runs a 7-cut or a Q, which means if it's a cover 2, he runs a free safety and he cuts the Q.
I got it. I got all that. Yeah.
And then the other guys on the front side, which is the 3 guys, is going to be just a decoy. So we did all that about 3 times in the game. He goes in practice and he goes, hey, this situation might never come up in a game. But if it does, you better know it. So we're like, oh, yeah, whatever, because we're just thinking that this is new to us, too. Because I played football for so long, and I think I knew everything. And this guy comes in, and he has all the situations. Like every situation you can think of, short safety, long safety, you name it. So we go play the Giants. Monday Night Football, we were leading the whole game. All of a sudden, Giants came back. I hear he caught the ball, and they got this cuts down, and they were up by 7. Up by 3, up by 3. And we were down by 3. They kick off. Remember this ball that hit the pylon and went out of bounds? Mm-hmm. With 11 seconds left in the game? Some of the Cowboy fans will remember.
Right.
So if you kick the ball, go out of bounds before you get to the end zone, the ball is replaced at the 40-yard line.
For real?
Yeah. So the ball is placed at the 40-yard line. No timeouts.
I'll tell you about it later.
No timeouts, right? And we have the one play that all of us say, oh, shoot, 62 Max Cafe XQ. So all of us knew on the sideline that, hey, the ball, this is decoy. Antonio Bryant's going to run this 7-cut on the backside, and Quincy Carter's going to take his 5-step drop. He's going to throw it to that 7-cut. So God and behold, 25-yard gain. He catches the ball, went out of bounds. We kicked a 52-yard field goal, tied the game, went to overtime, got the ball, drove down, kicked the field goal, and won the game. We're like, holy smoke, this guy. Now, we weren't a good football team. We were 5-11 for 3 consecutive years. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, all of us rallied because this dude just won a game because of one situation we practiced.
Yep. Yes.
You know what I mean?
That was like a situation that you'd never think of.
Never think of, and it's crazy.
Clearly, if I've never heard of it.
Yeah, and then in the following week, I'll tell you one more story. The following week, so we were off a Monday night, so we were off the next Monday night. So we were watching Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, which Belichick is a disciple of Bill Parcells, right? So they go play Mile High up in Denver, and the wind's gusting, it's blowing, and
you need your own podcast, man. You're good storyteller.
Denver was up by 4.
Okay.
New England was backed up on the 1-yard line going out. Winds blowing to the face. So they said, okay, if we kick the ball, punt the ball is going to land on the 30, maybe the 30-yard line. If it's a kick, good punt. If they kick a field goal, you're down by 7. They score a touchdown, game over. So they took a short safety. So now 6-point behind instead of 7. So now you have a chance to kick the ball. New England kicked the ball to Denver, down by 6, stopped them, got the ball back, drove down. Tom Brady hit David Givens in the back corner. Won the game by 1. Guess what? Who played that play? So that Monday night or the Tuesday night we came back for our meeting. Guess what he played? He played that. He talked about the situations. Like, that's what we practiced. This is why we did this. The short safety, right? All this stuff. So it's fascinating. So I watch football now totally different from what I did
because you learned so much from
him.
Yeah,
situation like you're talking about Belichick. You're talking about Sean Payton. Those guys. It's not just the X's and O's. It's like when do you make that situation play?
Yeah.
Like Saints win the Super Bowl, guess you got to have some to kick that onside kick, right? Right after the half, right?
So does that decision, I can ask both of you, does that decision making come more from the coach and your execution, or does that decision making come from you, like saying, I got to make this decision? Because we're preparing you for these decisions.
Coach do all that, but they put you in like a timeout. So, for example, if you're down, it's called 4-minute drill. So defensively, hey, if they run the ball, we call timeout, so we get the ball back. So time is short. You got to get the ball back somehow. If they throw the ball, then you don't want to waste a timeout. So we practice all that stuff where now the players are aware, but the coach has got to put them in position. Okay. And then remind them real quick, because that's what's so cool about Parcells is that I tell people all the time, it's like, man, it's fascinating, because another thing that he does was crazy. Is like there's 17 crews of referees in the National Football League. 15 of them work every week. So we are what? Humans are what? You guys know? Creatures of
habit.
For sure.
So every crew will call something within a few weeks down the road. Hey, this crew would call a lot of pass interference. Guess what? Defensive back, keep your hands in. Hey, this team calls a lot of holding. This crew does. Guess what? Offensive lineman, keep your elbows in, hands in. Because that's changing.
Yeah.
That's the hidden yardage nobody talks about. Penalties, man, Coach Parcells always talk about. If turnovers are the same and you watch a football game, college is a little bit more different because there's more possessions. Back then, it was very similar to the NFL. Now it's changed because of the spread. But the NFL is still the same by, okay, if the turnovers are the same, if you watch the box score, you even watch the game. If you don't even watch the game, you just look at the box score. You go, okay, passing yards, rushing yards, return yards, and penalties. You minus all those. Every 50 yards, if this team on the left is 50 yards plus on yardage, they will win by 3 points. If they're plus by 100, it's 7 points.
Interesting. Yeah.
Can you come to Vegas with me sometime? Hey, but speaking of cruise, let's get on to the kind of the next part of your.
Can I finish up real quick? This is worth noting. Trust me.
Did you see how I was trying to transition us down?
And then
what did he stop? He was defensive player, I guess.
This
here.
isn't a transitional point, by the way. So, is there a point in your Cowboys career when you were when you knew that you could actually play this game at this level? There's a point when that all happened to you?
Yeah, I think it's like anything. As a freshman going to college. It's the same. The speed of the game kind of slows down, and I think in the National Football League, man, I practice every day against a guy that's a Hall of Famer named Larry Allen.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. When you practice against him, games are it's easy, right? And I think when you work out and you be around people and you see the speed of the game, eventually it slows down for you. But man, at one time, I think in 2000, my best year in 2003 in person, I was like, man, I felt like I could do anything. Not anything, but I felt like I was one of the better players in the National Football League because I had confidence, I had ability, I understand that I had worked, and then all of a sudden, bam, the following year I was done. It's so crazy that I was that off season before I decided to retire. I felt the best, and that was 2005.
It's interesting. I'm not trying to tell your story, but you talked about both of those scenarios at A&M and at the Cowboys. There's this little word humility that happened too. There were two things that you specifically brought up that took place that kind of set you in a mindset probably to take on all of that. And it was probably just a little bit of putting that ego aside and then listening to those coaches like that. I mean, I know you know that and I know our listeners hear that, but it was just kind of telling to me that in both of those scenarios, you talked about those first things happening at those first practices when you line up against those guys and then an A&M like that. So that's good.
All right, favorite moment in Cowboys for you?
Favorite moment? Golly, we had so many. I don't know if there's games. We didn't win enough games, obviously. A lot of 5-11 season doesn't help. I think the locker room is the best part. I always tell people I miss it might be the only place in the world that you can say you don't get sued for harassment. You know what I mean? Everything goes, man. It's it goes. Michael
Towel pops? I mean, is that?
Well, that's minor compared to, no.
Seriously?
Shoot. That's, but it's just like anything from not just the locker room, but on the plane and, guys getting busted for wearing crazy clothes, right? Suits, purple suits on the plane. What the, what I mean? Barney, what are you doing on the bus? I don't know. But they're so quick and witty. That's what's so crazy. Some of these players, the Tony Romo of the world, Tony. I'll tell you, Tony was a rookie, second year, third year. So he was 3 years. We played with Tony for 3 years. He didn't even scratch. He wasn't even on the field the first 2 years. And I can tell you he was a rookie quarterback. And Dexter Coakley and myself, on Fridays, we call it Perfect Fridays.
Yeah.
Right? Mike Zimmer was the defensive coordinator during that time with Bill Parcells. He's like, hey, we don't make mistakes. Everything we do, we don't have that many plays of practice. But when we do it, it got to be perfect. So here we get a little kid out of Eastern Illinois, you know what I mean? And what's crazy is that he would get the ball and he knows at that time that, hey, linebackers are reading my eyes. They don't know they kind of know position, formation, et cetera, but they read so he snaps the ball and he flips his hips and then he licks his eyes all the way to the right. And then knowing that there's a back end cut on the backside, so Dexter Coakley and myself always look at the quarterback. We're sprinting this way. He's like, we're going to get this little rookie. And he just throws it back the corner. It's like a little giggy, It's like giggling him and Witten, and they came in together, obviously, and the roommates. But, man, it was crazy. That guy was good then, but obviously he turned out to be.
Was there a lot of like kidding and laughter about those types of things afterwards too? Just the way that like that's his personality.
We want to tie him to the goalpost, and man, we dump ice on him. It was
yeah.
But he's so savvy. It's crazy. I tell people, I was like, he knows he made a mistake, and he knows somebody's gonna get after him because he kind of takes somebody off in practice. So he kind of like walks away and hides for a little bit, and then calms down, and then he comes in. But he's smart. That guy. I wish he would have won more games too, because I think I go back to that year when he blotched that field goal. That's a year that Coach Parcells would tell you that game that they had a chance to even come back if we stopped the running back Steven Alexander and make him punt the ball. He still had a chance to win that game. But he would tell you that, man, I wish I would have pulled the trigger a little bit sooner on Bledsoe, because he had so much loyalty for Bledsoe.
Mm-hmm.
And if he would have pulled one game sooner, that they would never be in the wild card. They won the division and played at home. Oh. And they were the hottest team in the National Football League during that time too.
Dude,
good thing you don't know anything about strategy. I mean, doesn't seem like a strong point with you, Dad.
Thank you for sharing those memories. Now, this is the transitional period. You can
it's over. I mean, that was like 5 plays ago.
We could talk about this stuff for hours.
I know.
We're limited by time. As
yeah.
You know.
So tell us what you do now, Dad, and with crews, because there's a crew thing that I'll get to.
Okay, I'm now an owner operator of a Chick-fil-A here in Montgomery Plaza. So I thought about coaching football when I got done playing. I did a little thing about coaching. I coached 3 years with the Cowboys and 2 years with A&M. I think that was going to be at A&M for the rest of my career as a coach. And
Coach Von Miller.
I helped Coach Von Miller. God, that guy, I would never think he turned out to be as good as he is, because I just came from the Cowboys.
Getting back to football.
I'm sorry.
No,
I went to the Cowboys, and
there's these red signs here that say Chick-fil-A.
And I had DeMarcus Ware. And I had Anthony Spencer, 2 first-rounders.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware's going to be a Hall of Famer here soon. But I had both of those guys, and I'm looking at Vaughn, and Vaughn is not really that same long, because defensive ends or the outside linebackers, you got to have length. They call it length, arm length, so you can get those linemen off.
You know so little about this game, Dad. It just surprises me.
But Vaughn turned out to be unbelievable. He's a great ambassador for the University of Texas A&M. So I'm happy for him and happy with his career. Mm-hmm. But
so
going
you
back
said,
to,
I'm not going to coach. I
was going to coach, and then I wasn't going to coach because it wasn't fair for my family to move all around the country after a few years. And so I decided, I thought about it, my mom doing the restaurant business, and I was like, wow, man, she impacted so many people, employees and relatives, and I was like, golly, that's what I want, because really coaching football is what you do, right? You give them. It's not about winning and losing. It's about giving this opportunity to a kid like a Von Miller. Going back to his story, Von Miller was kicked off the team his sophomore year at Texas A&M. And he packed his bag. He drove down 35 North, and his dad said, get your booty back. If not, you got to have a place to stay. He came back, had a suspension, and guess what? Look at his career now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But those are the guys you give opportunity to, and that's what so my mom did that for so many years, and I thought about, hey, the restaurant business, I can treat it just like a football team. And that's basically why you go to my store right now, you walk in, they will tell you, did we win this month or did we didn't? Did we win this day? Did we win it down? You know, they evaluate players. Who's my 5-star? Who's my 1-star? You know, we were trying to.
A lot of screaming and yelling inside the restaurant.
But crews, you probably have different crews, right? Like
all the time.
I've noticed there's certain crews at the Chick-fil-A by mine that short me a fry, or they're not as large of a fry that they get.
And they short you a nugget too.
4.
So we do have shifts, and that's part of leadership. So what I do is that I'm an operator. I take myself as a head coach, and then I got coordinators that runs the team. And the offense is really the kitchen. Defense is really the front counter. Kitchen, because the offensive line or the food. The food is the most important thing of the whole business. Without the food, that's the heartbeat of your team. The offensive linemen don't get any credit. People in the kitchen don't get any credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar.
You hear that, J-Dub? Offensive line, not D-line. Okay.
I heard it.
But that's what I do, and my purpose is all about giving kids an opportunity. You heard my story. We came in from America with nothing, living government housing, and have a chance to fulfill the dream. You know what I mean? I always thought about growing up watching football. When I first got introduced to the game of football, I want to be the next Walter Payton. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sweetness. Yeah. And I dreamed about that stuff. So here for me, I just give them a platform, and I give them a platform for them to do what they want to do. And I got a lot of, I don't want to sit here and pat my back, but we have a lot of testimony about kids and pursuing dreams and going to colleges, which a lot of them didn't, because a lot of my kids are from the inner city of Fort Worth.
Is that some of the reason you picked Chick-fil-A? Because, I mean, everybody's kind of heard about that Chick-fil-A program. It's
It's phenomenal.
top-notch. Did you have to go to school for like 4 more years? They hear about, they say that too about Chick-fil-A.
I didn't get to, but we did it on a quick training program that we do. And for
only NFL athletes get kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, except for Mike Janicek. You know our friend Mike Janicek.
Mike's great. Yes, Mike's great. He's a pioneer. He's really the first Dallas Fort Worth, really the Fort Worth area operator. And so he is really. I'm looking forward to meet up with him again soon here because I would like to catch up some stories because Truett Cathy passed away, the founder of Chick-fil-A, in 2014, which I didn't get to meet, but everything I've heard and read and the story and the legend or all the things that you hear about him now, what he did is phenomenal. Giving kids an opportunity in life is just you want to utilize that as much as you can because for me I'm just thankful every day I wake up and I'll tell people all the time, it's like I'm very grateful for everything, meaning that when I was in college I didn't really have a job, and when I got to Cowboys I didn't really have a job, and I run a Chick-fil-A, but it's not a job. For me, I go to work and really I just hang out with people. More than anything. That's what I do.
Well, I bet you're a great mentor to those
Business
kids.
is good for Chick-fil-A for you?
I can be worse.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's part of life, and that's how we look at scenarios in life. It's that be thankful every day for what you have because, it can always be worse.
Yeah.
Well, you're a wonderfully aspiring person. You're a humble guy, which is awesome. Everybody who knows of you thinks the world of you. Thanks for what you do for Fort Worth, for A&M, for the Cowboys, for people that immigrated this country. That's an amazing story, man. So well done.
Yeah, thank you. So we ended the show just with no family because that's just too easy to go to. But best day of your life. You talked about a ton in here, but
the best day of my life.
Yeah,
it's it's not marriage or kid related.
Yeah,
best day of my life is the next day I wake up.
That's pretty
great.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you have family, Dad? We didn't ask.
So my wife and I, for 21 years. So we met at A&M as freshmen, and 5 kids. I got one at Clemson, and one is a junior in high school. I got a 10-year-old, and God got a sense of humor. Gave me twin boys that are 6 years old.
Oh man! Do you guys live over on this side of the Metroplex or over somewhere?
We live in Grapevine.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
We're in Grapevine just because my wife lives in downtown Grapevine and she loves the area. And everything's walking.
Yeah.
So we just walk everywhere.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep. What a great story, Dat. Thank you for the time. Thank you to Captex Bank for sponsoring this, and give them a shout out, you guys. They're a good place to start. So
thanks a ton, Dat.
Thank you. Edit. Hey, way past.
No, you're good. We've had longer. Thank you a ton.
FORTitude Fort Worth.